Breakups are strange, not because of the heartbreak, but because of the quiet after. The silence that follows once the constant messaging, calls, and laughter stop. When Claire sat across from me at that little coffee shop, hands clasped around her cup like she was holding on to courage, I already knew what she was going to say. Her tone was gentle, almost rehearsed. "You're a good man, Ethan," she began softly, eyes flicking toward the window. "But I think we've just grown apart. It's not you, it's me. I still want us to stay friends." I smiled, a calm, almost eerie kind of smile. "Of course," I said, "friends." She exhaled with visible relief, like she just avoided a confrontation. To her, it was over neatly, politely, safely. But to me, that word friends carried an entirely different weight. For 2 years, I had poured myself into that relationship. I was there through her job struggles, her family issues, and those long nights she spent doubting herself. I wasn't just her boyfriend. I was her sounding board, her protector, her constant. So, when she ended it with that one soft word, friends, I realized it wasn't closure. It was a door she wanted to keep open just in case she needed comfort again. I didn't argue, didn't beg, didn't ask her to reconsider. Instead, I simply nodded and walked away, leaving her with the illusion that I'd stay exactly where she wanted me, safe, waiting, available. The following weeks were quiet. She texted once or twice, casual things like, "Hope you're doing okay," or "Just checking in." I responded politely, but with a kind of brevity that made her messages feel like echoes. Slowly, she noticed the change. I wasn't the same Ethan who once dropped everything for her. I didn't ask how her day was, didn't offer advice, didn't linger in her orbit anymore. I had accepted her decision with grace, and in doing so, I had also stepped completely out of her life. 3 weeks later, I ran into her at a mutual friend's birthday dinner. She looked surprised, maybe even a little thrown off. I was laughing with a few people, genuinely enjoying myself. The friend group that used to belong to us now felt perfectly comfortable with just me. She approached cautiously, glass in hand. "Hey, stranger," she said with a faint smile. "Haven't heard from you in a while." I turned to her, still smiling politely. "Yeah, I've been busy. You know how life gets." Something flickered in her expression. Confusion, maybe. Disappointment. She asked if I'd seen the new movie we once planned to watch together. I shrugged. "Actually, yeah. I went last weekend. It was pretty good." She hesitated, caught off guard. "You went without me?" I nodded, still calm. "Well, we're friends now, right? Didn't want to bother you." That was the moment I saw it, the realization dawning on her face. She had expected me to linger, to stay within reach emotionally, to keep treating her like I used to, even though she had ended things. But I had taken her words literally. We were friends, nothing more. And I treated her exactly that way. Over the next few weeks, I noticed her trying harder to reconnect. Little texts about random memories, liking my posts online, even asking mutual friends how I was doing. But by then, I had moved on, not to someone else, but to peace. I had found joy in my own company, rediscovered old hobbies, and even started a small business I'd always postponed. My world, once soaring around her, now spun freely again. Then one afternoon she called. Her voice was soft, uncertain. "Hey, I just wanted to ask, are we okay?" I paused for a moment, then said, "Of course we are. Friends, remember." There was silence on the other end. That single word, friends, finally meant to her what it had meant to me from the beginning. Not comfort, not a backup plan, just distance. Polite, final, unshakable. She laughed awkwardly, muttered something about catching up soon, and hung up. That was the last time I heard her voice directly. A month later, I saw her again at a gathering. She was quieter, almost reflective. At one point, she came over and said, "You really took it seriously, didn't you? The friends thing." I met her eyes and smiled kindly. "You taught me what it means." That was it. No bitterness, no drama, just truth. Because the reality is, when someone ends things with, "Let's stay friends," they often mean, "Don't disappear completely. Keep me comfortable while I move on." But friendship after love rarely works. When one heart is still healing. I didn't ghost her out of revenge. I simply respected my own peace. Staying friends with someone who broke you only keeps the wound fresh. Walking away lets it heal. Now, months later, I look back. Without resentment. I learned something powerful. Not every relationship needs closure, and not every goodbye needs to be loud. Sometimes the calmest departures make the loudest statements. She once said, "We'll always stay friends." I agreed. But what she didn't realize was that in saying yes, I wasn't promising to stay in her world. I was promising to finally return to mine.